Parents, do you own a local service business and you want to equip your child to be an AI apprentice to be able to take over the digital marketing for your business? This video explains what works, what doesn't work, so that your child maybe can be a Jack or a Dylan. And what we want to do is create lots and lots of Jacks and Dylans, because there are a lot of local service businesses out there like you that they've been burned by the last few agencies. They need someone they can trust, like your own kin, to watch over things, to learn the AI tools. We know that the young adults just naturally learn AI tools faster. They keep up with social media. You probably already know I learn a lot from folks like Jack and Dylan. And they're showing me stuff, which I think is absolutely crazy. But it's probably the same for you as well. And I want Jack and Dylan to talk about what's working for them, what their experience has been being an AI apprentice, what they've learned about digital marketing, what the pathway is, so that you can decide if this program is a fit for you. And if you have questions along the way, you can certainly ask any of us. The beauty is we've been doing this for a long time, and there are a lot of brilliant young adults that have maybe never had the opportunity. And this is the opportunity to be able to work on a business like yours, or work on other businesses that have come to us that are watching videos just like this. And then that creates more opportunities for the Jacks and Dylans that are out there. And this is what we think is revolutionizing the traditional college university system. This is a real certification, just like you, to become a real estate agent or a dentist or a plumber. There's a certification. We think that learning these AI tools is something that colleges really aren't teaching, and you've got to learn it somewhere. And who is the most authoritative? What organization, what program is the most authoritative to learn how to do this? So I just love to hear what these guys have to say and hear what you have to think as well.
Yeah, I think circling back to why we like to hire young adults for this, it all goes back to Dennis and I were listening to a podcast with Sam Altman a few weeks ago. And Sam Altman was talking about the difference in what young people are using ChatGPT for versus what older people are using ChatGPT for. And it was really cool to see that he's saying that older people are just using it as a Google, where their prompts are only a sentence long and they're just using it to find information. But young adults are actually using it as like a life coach and planning out, okay, what should my career look like? How should I do this project? And they're actually reasoning with the AI, which is what we believe is super powerful. David Meerman Scott, we were on a meeting with him the other day, and he was saying that AI with publicly disclosed data is awesome, but AI with your data is out of this world. And so it all goes back to the level of reasoning and understanding that young adults can have for the AI, and then being able to implement that into real practices where they can deliver results for your business.
To have that level of understanding and to be able to talk to the AI in an empathetic, intelligent way, as Jack doing, I think requires some level of training. And whether your child is able to reason with the AI at that level or becomes an AI expert in a career, they still want to learn those kinds of communication skills. So I'd love for Dylan to talk about, to our parents, what does it take to become like a Dylan? Or what has been your experience? That way they can say, you know what, I think my kid could do this.
Yeah, so one big thing that we talk about as well as another quote-unquote requirement is being able to make short 1-minute videos, just like we are right now. Obviously this one's a little bit longer, but even if they can just make a 1-minute video talking about things along the way, that's a very good sign. So if your kid has been into social media or wanting to make YouTube videos throughout their life, that is one great sign. But it also ties into what they were talking about with the AI, reasoning with the AI. One of the biggest things that you can do with the AI that makes it a lot easier is talking to it instead of just typing. When you type things, you're generally doing shorter things. You don't want to spend as much time. But if you can just put it in voice mode and just talk, you can reason with it way better and get way better results. And so from what I've seen through having conversations and helping people go through this process so far, is that the ones who are able to have not even necessarily conversations, but just being able to transcribe their voice and just talk to the AI while feeling comfortable are the ones who see the best success. Because if you can talk to the AI and just work through an issue over and over again, it's super easy, and you can learn a lot of things through it. So, yeah.
So Dylan first came into our program with some social media experience, maybe a little bit of AI experience, and we quickly threw him into the water with some clients to be able to implement the 4-stage content factory to be able to make the phone ring for a local service business. In this case, like a dentist.
Yeah.
And the results have been amazing. Maybe you can tell our parents here what you did and what it was like coming from your background to even where you are now, the idea of learning and putting it into practice instead of just reading a book or watching videos on how to do this stuff.
Yeah, so one big thing was we talk about learn, do, teach a lot. So learning a skill, doing it, and then teaching it. So along the way, as I continue to learn things and apply them into my own work, and of course my work with clients as well, I try to put out videos just talking about what it is and try to turn them into articles and just everything. Another big thing that was a change for me was repurposing content in many different ways throughout my life. I've definitely done long form content on YouTube, short form content on platforms like Instagram and TikTok, but then turning them into these blog posts and just using one piece of content in so many different ways has been very powerful, and it's pretty basic. If you can turn one thing into 5 things, that's better. And so that's what we've been doing with the clients, and it's been super cool to see. Just, yeah, learning skills along the way, showing them to other people in the program, and just helping everyone grow together.
So he was working on a dentist in Atlanta who does cosmetic dentistry, and this guy's got a great reputation. All the dentists, for example, send their kids to him to have their teeth done. But his online presence, his social media, and all that was basically non-existent. And it was all just through referrals. So the videos that we were able to coach this client to make, to talk about his business, to talk about the changes in people's lives by having a better smile, talking about his process and his tools and his reputation and where his office is and all these things that you would expect to learn about this dentist. Dylan and his friend Henry, who's also new in our program but has also done amazing work, have processed those videos, turned them into articles, turning into things that sit on the website, on social media, on ads. That creates the foundation that allows us to be able to run local service ads, to run Google regular ads, to run Facebook ads, and to set up the call tracking and all of these things to measure how many phone calls we're getting. The odds are you probably have a local service business where you do great work, people know who you are, but that reputation isn't reflected so that Google can see it. So that ChatGPT, when people ask ChatGPT, who should do, I'm looking for a cosmetic dentist in Buckhead, should it be? And then Dr. Flax pops up, right? All the stuff that we're teaching young adults to implement is to make the phone ring for you, whether it's through organic, through paid, and it covers search and social and AI. And what we want you to understand is if your young adult meets certain criteria that these two are talking about, then this is what they're going to be learning and doing for your business. Maybe like what we've taught through Johns Hopkins, the same process that was last semester through Johns Hopkins is the same thing that you can send your child through, but maybe not the $50,000 a year price tag. So tell people, what did we teach, for example, through Johns Hopkins?
Yeah, we taught a 6-week module at Johns Hopkins. Dennis and I co-taught it, and it was on applied digital marketing. So we actually got these students and we got these businesses from the local area to team up, and they were actually working on their business, their marketing, all these things in the classroom. So they were getting hands-on experience as they're learning. It's not like we're just teaching theory from a textbook. It's they're actually driving real results for these businesses and driving revenue and phone calls so that they're getting ROI on these investments that they're making in their marketing.
So the beauty of applied digital marketing, which we've taught over and over again, you can download the guide. That's all free. You could probably Google it or ask ChatGPT and you can find the textbooks. Just like when you go to Harvard, I'm sure you can download all the textbooks or buy them at the library. What we're doing in this certification program for your young adult, for your son or daughter, is actual hands-on implementation, like a cooking class where we're all cooking together. So they get access to all the courses, and then they have to actually implement the digital plumbing to make sure the tracking is in place, actually create ads, actually follow you around in the office and make videos, and then repurpose those videos, like turning them into blog posts, Google Business Profile, Instagram, all these kinds of things, which is perfect for a young adult to be able to do, where you don't need a fancy agency, because a young adult can do a better job with the social media. And then tracking those results through a weekly process that we call MAA. Every Friday, your son or daughter has to submit a report showing metrics, analysis, and action. And that allows us as coaches to see what they're doing, to be able to give them feedback along the way and help them improve. And it can be asynchronous, so we use a project management system called Basecamp. You guys have probably seen it. And we have live office hours every Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific, where they can come in and they can present their latest campaigns. They can present their analytics, and then our team will review, and other young adults can help each other. And then they're connecting with each other so that maybe Jack is working on a landscaping business and Dylan's working on a dentist. The commonalities in local service businesses are incredible. Because it's all about ranking in the maps, because it's about showing that if it's in Minneapolis, that this is the best landscaper or the best dentist in wherever it is. You only have to win in your town. That's why we focus this program on local service businesses. It's not about being an influencer. It's not about getting lots of fans and followers. It's not about any vanity metrics that don't tie back to making the phone ring so that you have leads in your business. What kind of hallmarks, Dylan, would a parent want for them to know that their child would do a good job here and succeed, versus what are like red flags for failure?
Yeah, I think definitely goes back to a little bit of what I was talking about earlier, being able to reason with the AI, being able to make videos. Those are some clues on if they're going to be successful or not. Another thing is communication. If your child is really good at communicating and they get back to things quickly, that is a very good sign as well. Whereas if we have to chase the person constantly, say, hey, you said you would do this. Yeah, I'll do it in a week. Anybody can do that. You can tell ChatGPT to do something for you. It'll make timelines up. But at the end of the day, we're looking for people who take action. Once again, metrics, analysis, action. The action part is what's important. And now analyzing what you're doing, but then actually taking the action is the important part. And so those are a few things.
So we have a published checklist of all the different actions that they could take. But the beauty of analysis is that your child is going to be able to scan your business and look at the different SEO metrics, look at the analytics, look at what Google has to say, look at what Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, have to say, and then take the specific actions that are right for your business. And then when they take action, that flows back into more metrics, and we can see what's working. Maybe your young adult does 5 videos around the office, and one of them does better than the other, and we can figure out what that is, make more videos that are like that, turn the best performer into an ad, turn that into a landing page. There's lots of things that can happen, and the idea of building and optimizing and continuing to tune to take the thing that's good and making it better and better is what the whole core of our program is. And we've set this program intentionally to go for a year. Now, does it take a year to be able to drive results? Do you have to wait a year? If they are a go-getter, like Dylan says, and your customers love you, which is really key because we have to gather those ingredients, it might take a few weeks. If you're an airplane pilot, you want as much runway as possible. I don't want to have just like a 3,000-foot runway for a 737. I want a 12,000-foot runway because I want to have as many opportunities as possible. I don't want to just win. I want to just completely dominate, right, in my business. I don't want to be just like an average landscaper or an average plumber or an average HVAC guy. I want to be absolutely awesome, and I want to set a documented process that someone else can come in and take over. And that's everything we're doing in our program. I think that's everything that you should be doing. If you're growing, if you're Sal Sciorta, Plumbing Pros in Easton, Pennsylvania, when he started with us, I think he was $30,000, $40,000 a month, and now he's nearly triple that. And so we've actually had to turn the marketing down because he's had too many phone calls, because he's now had to hire more people to be able to keep up.
That's awesome.
And so we want to see that. We expect to see that if whoever is working on his thing is following our process. Because when the marketing increases, then you have to increase your staffing. You've got to hire more quality people, right? Just like we have to. And then we hire more people. And that's how the whole thing works. We would love to see that in your business. If you operationally can take on more business, can take on X number of new clients per week, then you should have the marketing fill that. And growth is always a better place to be. Even if you're very happy where things are, maybe you could raise prices. Maybe you could be less involved in the business. Maybe get a more control over the analytics and what's going on and not be subject to seasonal demands or the competitors or things like that. And it's just nice to be able to have control. What else do people need to know?
Yeah, I think just as far as we've explained a lot of the things that will make your kids successful and things that would be red flags, I think just going back to the value created by this, you're going to be able to provide, you're going to be able to get more calls in your business. You're going to be able to increase revenue. You're going to be able to, your kid or young adult that you're putting into this job is going to get real world experience that'll look great on a resume if this isn't what they want to do forever. Or it could be a launching pad for them building a marketplace of their own where they can have multiple clients that they're doing the same thing and the same skills that they're learning here for, which is what Dylan and I have gone on to do. And it's been amazing for us and our journey.
So your child doesn't have to become a full-time digital marketer or own an agency. They could. The most common path is work on your business. But there are a lot of parents that send their children through this program because they want their children to be future-proof. Because the whole job landscape in the future is changing, and this is just a great part of education. Even if they want to be a doctor later, even if they want to do whatever it is later, this is a good thing. Maybe they want to be an entrepreneur. This is a good thing that's going to prepare them. Where else are you going to get hands-on experience? The only way, I believe, to learn AI and digital marketing is through actual implementation. So if your child is not going to work on your business, they could work on any business that we assign them.
Yeah.
And we have a whole range of these businesses that are coming in, and they can choose a category, and we'll give them something in that category. It's funny because we'll have sports fans and we'll assign them a basketball team. That's when we had the Warriors for 5.5 years, like all these kids came in saying, I want to work on the Warriors, I want to work on the Warriors. Lakers, we have, I don't even want to say sports teams because we have too many people wanting to work on pro sports, and pro sports doesn't pay, and there's all this other stuff that people don't know about pro sports once they find out. But anyway, the point is that this is the ultimate way to get an internship. And like Dylan was saying, the ultimate way to improve your communication skills, to become a manager, and to start a real career, and to start earning instead of working at McDonald's, or nothing wrong with that, but to gain real job skills. So even if your child is, say, 17 in high school, I don't think it's too early to learn that now.
Amongst all these skills, being able to work in a team, which is one of the most valuable things you can ever learn in your life, in your personal career, in your relationships. Being able to work in a team is most of what humanity does. And so being able to work in a team at a professional level is going to be a huge value add for everyone in this program.
Working in a team, the communication skills, being able to manage when you have people that are not in the same office. So Jack and I and other folks, who knows what country we're in, but we're still managing, we're still keeping on top of things. And that should be the same for you and for your child. If your child's going to be someone who has to be supervised in an office from 9 to 5 and there's strict controls and all, that's fine, but there's so much more freedom when you can learn that discipline, and that's what we teach. We don't, to toot our own horn, I don't see anyone else that's teaching this because it requires practitioners who are actually living that and doing that as part of their daily life to be able to teach other people. You can't teach other people what you don't have. And Dylan is a practitioner with, how many views would you say you have across all social media and YouTube and all that?
I couldn't tell. We estimated over 100 million, but somewhere over there.
So when we're talking about making videos, this isn't just, how old are you?
17.
You have this 17-year-old who has, and how long have you been doing this dunking and making videos and all that kind of stuff? 10 years? Or long?
Probably like 5, 6.
5 or 6 years? So this guy at 17, with only 5 or 6 years of experience, has, I would argue, made more successful videos than 99% of digital marketing agency expert, whatever sorts of people. How many other digital marketers who claim they know social media, video, know ads and all that, have over 100 million views?
Yeah. Another point to add to that too is that since starting this early this year, I've done a ton of things I didn't even know about before. I got my knowledge panel, I got my personal brand website set up, and so as I'm doing this, I'm not only helping out all these clients and getting to do all these things for other people, I'm also learning things that I can apply to my own work. And it's crazy how many valuable skills I've learned along the way.
And he's being paid for it because he was able to qualify. And you go from $17 an hour to $25 an hour and so forth based on what you're able to do. Not based on guaranteed raise after 6 months, nothing like that. He's advanced very quickly because he's demonstrated that he can do the work. The clients have said that they're happy. all of us are on the same team. It's not that you submit the work to the teacher and the teacher grades it and the teacher's like the enemy because you're like hoping they'll give you an A or whatever it is. We're on the same team because we're kind of like competing against Google and competing against the other dentists and roofers and landscapers. So the data doesn't lie. Every week we can see what it is. We're on the same team. So if Dylan needs help on something, we have an expert in that particular area that can come in and help him with that. And then I'm here too. If no one else can figure it out, I'm like House, and you ever watch the TV show House? Where no one else can figure it out, comes to me, and then I'll look at it. And so imagine your young adult has access to these other people. It's really like having the ace up your sleeve. But in order for that to happen, there has to be a certification program. There has to be a real project for them to work on, which generates real data and real situations where they learn to communicate and organize, where they learn, here's how, okay, here are the different people in the different areas. Who do I go to when I have a particular issue? Or how do I learn how to solve the thing myself, right? If your young adult is someone who is a go-getter, problem solver, and knows it isn't, I'm just going to text Dylan every time I have the slightest question, but understands when to ask for help and when to look it up, this could be a great opportunity for them. Maybe you can tell folks more about your overall perception of the program and what their young adult can expect.
Once again, the first thing is you're just going to learn a ton. You're going to gain a lot of skills, and you have to know how to learn to do that. And so I was just telling Dennis about this story the other day. I had a really basic issue that most people who have worked on websites before could fix on my own website. I was literally just trying to replace a picture, and I had no idea how to do it. And what I did was I just kept taking screenshots of what I was seeing, giving it to ChatGPT, hearing what to do, going back, and then just repeating that process over and over again. And so I think once you learn how to learn, everything past that gets easier, because then you're actually doing it, and then you're doing it for clients, then you're doing it for other team members and helping everyone out. And then you're teaching it and helping, the next people who are coming up and learning the same things. And just the entire process has been just amazing so far. So yeah, couldn't have said it better.
What I love seeing is you and Jack are both solving new problems, but you're documenting how you do it.
Exactly.
So other people can learn from what you've done. And then we have this knowledge base of all these tasks that are now documented on the internet. You can Google it and see that these are there. Over 1,000 tasks are there, tons of videos that we upload, and it becomes a repeatable process. One of the kind of hidden, amazing benefits of this program, like Dylan mentioned, is he's enhancing his personal brand. So he's got a knowledge with a pretty high confidence score, like all the colored boxes that show up when you search Dylan Haugen, and a personal brand website, and tying all of his things together. So from a professional standpoint, whatever he wants to do later in life, that opens up these opportunities because he's now recognized by Google. I'm sure I could ask ChatGPT who is the best podcaster among professional dunkers, and it'll recommend you, right? Same thing for Jack,
Better.
right? That's the thing where it's not just ranking Google, you want to be recommended when someone asks a question inside AI. So no better way to build your professional brand for your child now and to have your child do that for you than to run through the things that they get just in the first month of being in our program. So if you want to learn more, you can click on the link below, schedule a call with us, and we're happy to walk through your son or daughter's situation. If you want to see the curriculum on all the different tasks and the training modules and the courses that we have, you can inspect all of that. And we made a bold decision that we just want to put those courses out there. Why not? You could ask ChatGPT a question. Information's free. Google's made information free, but access to mentorship, to training, to be in a certification program, that increasingly has more value, ironically, as information is becoming free. So if this is something that you think is right, you could just sign up right now, and your son or daughter gets access to us, to the whole team. The team is growing. We love seeing amazing Jacks and Dylans. And our hope is that your son or daughter can join the ranks and be able to help equip that next generation. Because I think there's no better way to learn how to be a mentor and a coach and a leader than to take what you've learned and teach other people that are around you and deputize them. Love to hear it. What do you think? What are you going to do based on this?